Well, hello, Rebecca. It is an honor to talk to you today. So, thank you for joining me with Clothe the West, a fairly new organization. Before we talk about the organization, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me. My
Excited
name
to see
is
you.
Rebecca Ward, and I am the creator of Clothe the West. And before the pandemic, I was working as a nanny. I was doing some contract catering jobs, and then the pandemic happened, and all of that was not needed anymore. So now here I am with Clothe the West.
Well, and let's talk about Clothe the West. We always say, and then the pandemic happened. And then it changed our perspectives, it changed our world, it changed needs for everyone. It really did. So, what was it that you saw that led you to Clothe the West? So, this is a new organization that provides clothing and toys and all sorts of different things for folks who live west of Ninth, correct?
Yes.
All right, so tell us what happened and what you saw when the pandemic started to hit.
So when the pandemic started to hit, I was still working as a nanny, and I provided childcare in folks' homes. And so when I saw that parents were having to leave work, not being able to work anymore, because of the pandemic, because of COVID, I then realized that the kiddos weren't going to be going to school, and um, so then I got invested in the movement, and I noticed like just the overwhelming of emotions of what was going on just with the pandemic, with COVID, with folks not working, with the changes of income, just for myself as an adult. And so I just thought, I cannot imagine how these kiddos are feeling with their norms changing. And so I created Clothe the West, to show kiddos that they hadn't been forgotten and that somebody was thinking of them, and also to help parents because they weren't working, and the kiddos weren't going to school. So you didn't get new clothes in that same way when you are going somewhere, when there is a holiday, when school does start. So that was the thought behind it.
So also in I should say COVID as well as the protests happened as well. And then that also gave you a different perspective after the killing of Breonna Taylor. So all those things swirling in our community. What was it that you wanted the children to feel more than anything? And then we'll talk about the volunteers that you started organizing. What was the hope that you wanted kids to have during that time?
I wanted them to know that they were seen and that they were heard, even by a group of people that they didn't know. They don't know me. So that was super important to me, them knowing that somebody saw them, that somebody heard them, that their lives matter, and that we are all experiencing this thing that is completely out of the norm. And so that was just my thought behind it, was letting them know that somebody saw them and heard them and that they matter.
And then you started organizing clothing drives, right? Was it new clothing? And then you got the word out, and then people started responding. You sent me some pictures, and some of those early drives, even, I'm sure, was it beyond your expectation?
Yes. So originally, a local organization had given us abundance of clothing. And so, in a variety of sizes, babies all the way up to adult sizes. And so, my plan was, okay, we're going to get these clothes out here to these people. They may or may not need them, but they can size up if they need to, and we will get them out here. And so that was the plan behind it, was to get the clothes gone because they were just sitting in a garage somewhere. And so the clothes started to run out after a couple months, and because we were doing maybe one or two events a week. And so the clothes were running out and the need was still there. And so I called on the community like, hey, I created this thing and we're calling it Clothe the West, and we need to make sure these families have what they need in during this time. And so our first event after our clothes were kind of like going away. I mean, we had given them away, and that's what we wanted. We had a pajama party where we only gave away pajamas, and toothbrushes and toothpaste and hair bonnets and hair scarves, bubble bath, bath bombs, all books, all the bedtime stuff. And people showed up, and it was like, oh, we have to keep doing this. And so then we kept doing it, and here we are.
So now, so it's you. So has this become, I mean, kind of a full-time job, but I'm not sure there's pay. I don't know. You tell
No.
me.
So there's not pay. I like to tell folks that there's a team of 6 of us, and we're all volunteers. Like, I created Clothe the West, but I'm a volunteer as well. Like, sometimes somebody might send a cash app and say, Rebecca, do not use this for Clothe the West. Get you something to eat. And I'm like, okay. Okay. So yes, it's just a volunteer thing, but it is full time. And it feeds my soul. So it doesn't feel like work at all. It feels really good, but yes, it is full time.
I was going to say, you're hoping to become a nonprofit. That's one of
Yes,
those things still in the works, correct?
yes, yes, yes. Because I think then we can apply for grants and get different kind of funding in a way that we can right now. I discovered last year during the toy drive that we some places couldn't help in a way that they wanted to because we weren't a nonprofit, and how funding is. So that is the goal, is to become a nonprofit.
And one thing I want to let people know. So one thing that you say with what you're doing now, no questions are asked. If somebody says, I need help, you're going to give them help. They don't have to jump through any hoops to get that help.
No, no. So that is what also sets us apart. And also, I just really am happy about that. We don't have to ask anything. I think also because we're not a nonprofit and we don't have any rules or stipulations, but I would like for it to stay that way. So folks can just show up. Children can show up without their parents. Parents can show up without their children, and they can receive whatever they need. And so usually it's no limit, but sometimes we have events where we may only be able to give certain, however many bottles of soap we may have, but we try to give whatever folks ask for, especially if we have it.
And you're a mama. We want to make sure we say that, right? Tell us
Yeah,
about your child.
yes, I am a mother. My Dominic Cole will be 12 on Saturday. So yes, I have a 6th grader, and that's fun.
Well, you know that need as a mom. We all do, right? As moms,
Yes, yes, yes,
and
yes.
what we'll do for our kiddos. So tell me a little bit. We wanted to announce a partnership with you all. We're going to put a bin here at the Fraser History Museum as part of Clothe the West for your toy drive for the holidays. So we're going to be kicking that off in November. So tell us a little bit about what you would like to see donated. And it's from babies all the way up to teens. Is that what we're looking at?
Yes. So we call it Clothe the West Holiday Shop. That's what we called it last year. We'll just stick with that name because it's easy. I also like to make stuff simple and easy. So Clothe the West Holiday Shop is an event where parents can come and select items to gift their children. And so last year we hosted a 2-day event at St. George's in Louisville's West End, and parents showed up, and we had a sheet that they could fill out there, or they could have printed it out before, and it just had information about the kiddo on it. And so due to COVID, they had to stay out of the building, and I had a group of folks that took the papers with the whole family on it, some families 5 kiddos, and we had like extra large black garbage bags, and they would go around and select the items for those kiddos, give that bag back to those parents with the stuff in them in case the kiddos were with them. And so the items weren't wrapped. The items are from the parents, not from me, because I think that sometimes we, as a community, try to have stuff and host things and fill a need that we think sometimes is a need. And if if I give the gift wraps, the parent has no idea what it is,
Mm,
and the kiddos don't know who I am. And so I think that it still leaves that void of a parent still needing to provide Christmas. And so that is why I don't host the holiday shop for kiddos. So it's not like a breakfast with Santa kind of thing,
right.
because the parents still need to provide Christmas for their, or
So this
holiday
is
for
for
their
those
kiddos.
parents to see what it
Yes,
is and give their children, and it's from them.
yes. And
And
it's
it's
from
from
them.
them.
Yes, it's from
Exactly.
them. It's not from me. And so we had we separate everything into categories. So we have books all in one space, and we have games all in one space, and we'll have like dress up stuff, and we'll have dolls and clothes and stocking stuffers, cold weather accessories. So all the things, we try to focus on representation. Since we do serve mostly minorities, we want to highlight making sure dolls are different races, different genders. We want to make sure our books have different abilities in them. And so that is super important representation to me. So we really focus on that. And also, folks don't have to live in the West End. That is just where we pop up and
Right.
who we serve for the majority, but folks can come from anywhere.
So will you do the same thing? So our family day will be December 18th, and we're going to have it where if people bring a toy, they get free admission to the museum that day. Before then, they can drop off toys, that kind of thing. So when is your event going to be that you're going to give these toys away? So it's after the 18th, we know, closer to Christmas?
Yes, it will be closer to Christmas. I think last year we did maybe 5 days before Christmas. It was a 2-day event, like 5 days, I want to say. So it is pretty close to Christmas, because
Okay.
I also want things to be, I try to make things easy, and I don't want parents to have to store stuff for a long time and
Right.
hide stuff. I think sometimes that's hard, and sometimes we don't know folks' living situations. So sometimes people can't hold stuff for weeks or months
Right.
because of their living situation. So it will be probably super close to Christmas, maybe 5 days before.
And more details to come on that. But for our people who come to the museum, we want them to know it can be a toy, even a book. But again, just representation is the most important thing
Mhm.
when they bring it. Have you been surprised by the response? I'm curious, just the outpouring.
I have been surprised. Last year, it seemed like folks just were helping each other in any way possible. Folks were just helping each other. People were dropping off food to folks. Like different orgs were popping up with stuff, and I think that that just was like an eye opener to me. Like, yes, we can do this. We can take care of each other in a different way than we ever have, without anybody even knowing each other or anybody requesting anything. I do think it's important to know what the need is. So I don't ever want to show up somewhere with my stuff if that's not the need. I
Mhm.
want to know what the need is before I get there. And so I have the last event I had at California Park, I only took PPE. There were masks, there was hand sanitizer, there was soap, that kind of stuff. And that was all that I took because that was the need.
Right.
And so I think that that's important, focusing on what the need is. And I've told people that reach out to me that have tried to give me used clothes, because Clothe The West only distributes new items back into the community. And so we only accept new items because that's important. Folks deserve new stuff, and it doesn't matter if they can afford it, and it doesn't matter their background, they deserve it. And so that is super important. And so the outpour has been like amazing. Folks
Good.
have reached out and they're like, yes, we'll host a toy drive. What do we need to do? Or we don't have a lot of space, but we can maybe collect books. And so it has been amazing, because we run off community support. And so if we push something out and we're like, hey, we have two kiddos that are houseless and we need to provide for these teens, and the community shows up, and it has just been amazing to watch, to see, to hear. It's been awesome.
The outpouring has been great, but the need, though, on the flip side of that is so great in our community.
Mhm.
Are we doing better about meeting those needs? And, we talk about this divide at Ninth Street and how we really just need to bust that down kind of thing.
Mhm.
Are we getting better? Or I'm assuming you think that we still have great need out there as well.
I think that the need is still there. I think that sometimes we forget to ask what the need is. I think that we sometimes we assume that folks are hungry because they're houseless, and that might not be the case. They might not be hungry. So I think that always it's important to ask what the need is, because I do see that folks want to help. People want to help, and people mean well. Um, and so I think that it is important to ask, like, what do you all need?
Mhm.
What would be helpful? What can I do? Is there anything I can do? Because somebody might say no. Somebody might say, no, there's nothing I need. Or we need a coat and that's all. We don't need food. We don't need clothes, Rebecca. We really don't. We need
I think
socks.
that's so key that you say, let's make sure that we're meeting the need and ask what that
Mhm.
need is to,
Yes.
to be the most helpful. What would
Mhm.
you say all of this has taught you about yourself?
I think that it has taught me to speak up for folks that may not be speaking up for themselves, and to also highlight that everybody doesn't need something. And I think that sometimes folks go into communities and they're like, this is what you all need. And they didn't ask. So I think that it has taught me to speak up. It has taught me to listen,
Listen,
because some of it is just listening. Some of it is just listening to folks and to what they need or what they don't need, and respecting that.
well, we are thrilled to partner with you all and looking forward to it and hoping to get some toys to children and young adults who need them and want them and are asking for them, or at least their parents. So
Yes,
thank you for all the work that you've done over this, gosh, what now, more than a year.
yes, yes. We celebrated a year July 26th.
Well, congratulations, and it's been
Thank
a
you.
delight getting to know you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.